House resumes. And House is in committee. He's telling him that we have. report that the supplementary estimates have passed through the Committee of Supply without amendment. The question is that the supplementary estimates for $85,344,220.60 be approved. Those in favor? Pardon? 221 and 60 cents. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. So now we move to the
Madam Speaker, I move that the bill shortly entitled Supplementary Appropriation 2017-2018 Act 2018 be read the first time.
Seconded, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary Appropriation 2017-2018 Act 2018.
The bill has been read a first time.
Madam Speaker, I move the second reading of the bill shortly entitled Supplementary Appropriation 2017-2018 Act 2018.
Seconded.
Supplementary Appropriation 2017-2018 Act 2018.
The bill has been read a second time.
Madam Speaker, I commend the supplementary appropriation bill to the House. That's correct? Or you go to third reading?
We go straight to the third reading.
Straight to third reading. Okay. Madam Speaker, I move that the bill shortly entitled Supplementary Appropriation 2017-2018 Act 2018 be read a third time and passed.
The bill will now be read a third time.
Supplementary Appropriation 2017-2018 Act 2018.
The bill has been read a third time and passed accordingly.
Madam Speaker, the bill is before I move the second reading of the bill shortly entitled Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Cooperation Agreement Act 2018.
Seconded, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, government recognizes the contribution that micro, small, and medium-sized businesses make to employment creation. Government is therefore keen to provide support to this sector. Many micro, small, and medium-sized firms have identified access to finance as a major obstacle. To address this, the government of Dominica has been implementing a program of support to micro and small businesses. Substantial assistance has been approved and provided to the sector. Like the government of Dominica, the governments of the other member states of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union is aware of the contribution that micro, small, and medium businesses make to economic growth and employment. The issue of financing for these businesses was identified as a challenge that is common to each of them. As such, member states of the ECCU, in collaboration with the World Bank, have embarked on a project to set up a credit guarantee scheme in order to address this access to finance. The Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation Agreement the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation Agreement, the structure that has been set up to provide financing to the small business sector. The Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation was approved by the Monetary Council of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. The Monetary Council is fully aware that the financial stability in the ECCU must be supported by strong economies. Madam Speaker, the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation will operate a loan guarantee scheme that will permit the corporation to put a partial guarantee on a loan made by a participating lender to a micro, small, or medium-sized business. The guarantee is intended to provide credit enhancement for those borrowers that do not meet typical bank credit standards. If a borrower defaults, the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation will pay to the lender a portion of the losses, reducing the lender's risk in the transaction. The Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation will use earnings from its capital base and fees charged to lenders to cover the cost of loan defaults and to pay for the opening expenses of the organization. Establishing the scheme is necessary to encourage lenders to provide loans to those MSME loan applicants that come close to being approved but are declined. These applicants have a good cash flow, experienced management, and a good business plan, but are typically lacking collateral. The Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation will offer to guarantee up to 75% of the losses if a borrower defaults. The lender retains a 2% exposure, which provides an incentive for them to thoroughly review the credit application and properly service the loan. The credit guarantee scheme combines the guarantee with the credit and market knowledge of local lenders to expand the availability of financing for MSMEs. Local lenders include credit unions, development banks, and commercial banks. Madam Speaker, the scheme is designed to take advantage of the fact that lenders in the Caribbean are relatively liquid, so cash is available to make loans. The guarantee is the incentive for the lender to approve a loan that would have been declined. The Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation will establish an electronic interface for lenders to use to interact with the corporation, including applying for a guarantee. The loan applicant will apply to the local lender using the same documentation that would be used for a conventional loan. The lender will use its normal process to review the application and make a credit decision. If the decision is to decline the loan, the lender will have the option of submitting the application to the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation to see if it will qualify for a guarantee. 2 staff members at the corporation will review the application to see if it meets the criteria for a loan guarantee. In conducting this review, the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation staff will analyze the expected cash flow of the business and determine if it is sufficient to cover the costs of the loan payment. If it is, the application will likely be approved. The Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation will notify the lender that the guarantee has been approved. A fee of 2% per year will be charged to the lender for the guarantee. The lender may but is not required to, pass the fee along to the borrower. The lender will receive a guarantee up to 75%. If the borrower defaults, the lender can submit a claim to the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation for payment on the guarantee. The lender will handle all aspects of loan servicing and must continue to liquidate the loan after payment of the guarantee. The beneficiaries of this program are the MSMEs that receive a loan, the lenders that make the loan, and the local economy. The MSME receives a loan that would otherwise have been declined. The loan funds will allow for the MSME to expand its operation and for the business to grow. The lenders will make a loan that they would have declined without the guarantee. This gives the lender an additional loan for their portfolio and a customer that they may be interested in, or that may be interested in other products. The local economy benefits by the expansion of economic activity and the increase in jobs created by the expanding MSMEs. Madam Speaker, 6 governments have committed $2 million each to establish the capitalization of the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation. 5 countries, including Dominica, are borrowing $2 million from the World Bank, and St. Kitts and Nevis has indicated that it will invest $2 million of its own funds. The World Bank is exploring with other development partners how Anguilla and Montserrat, which are non-independent member states of the ECCU, can finance their contribution at a later date. The agreement also permits the addition of private sector investors at a later date with approval from the Monetary Council. Madam Speaker, the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation Agreement provides for the establishment of a board of directors, which shall consist of 1 member appointed by each of the participating governments, 1 member from the banking community, and 2 members from the micro, small, and medium business community. Guidance in the agreement is provided on board member qualifications, board operations, and how to handle the many eventualities that can happen, including replacement and removal of members. Dominica's representative on the board will be a member of staff of the Ministry of Commerce, Industry, and Small Business. The Eastern Caribbean Central Bank will provide regulatory oversight and on-site operational reviews to ensure the ECP, the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation, is following its procedures. Madam Speaker, to design the project and to ensure that objectives are met, technical support is required. The World Bank has provided technical expertise to this project and has completely funded the upstream legal and technical work. These costs will not be required to be reimbursed. The technical support includes a market sounding exercise to verify the need for a scheme and the design of a proposed scheme for participants to review. A validation workshop for the project was held in November of 2016 to discuss the scheme design proposal with representatives of the regional financial sector, small business stakeholders, and government. The meeting enabled a significant exchange of valuable information and ideas among participants. The guidance received at the validation workshop was incorporated into a draft agreement. In addition, substantive discussions were held with ECCB staff regarding the proper role of the Monetary Council. In short, Madam Speaker, throughout the preparations, consultations have taken place with stakeholders on the design of the project. The agreement for the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation was signed by members of the Monetary Council in March 2017. As of April 2018, 5 countries have passed the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation Act. With the presentation being made today, Madam Speaker, We expect that Dominica will be the sixth country to pass the act. The bill before the Parliament at this time is to bring into law the agreement signed by members of the Monetary Council and which establishes the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation. Madam Speaker, the bill included 12 sections which address the following matters. Section 1 is the short title of the bill. Section 2 provides definitions of key terms. The relevant minister for this bill is the minister with responsibility for finance. Section 3 determines that the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation Agreement will have the force of law in Dominica. Section 4 outlines the financial provisions for giving effect to the agreement. All funds required to be paid by the government of Dominica for purposes of meeting the obligations under the agreement will be a charge on the consolidated fund. Section 5 authorizes the corporation to impose and collect fees in the exercise of its functions. Section C establishes the credit guarantee threshold. In accordance with Section 7, audits annual accounts of the corporation must be laid in the House of Assembly by the minister. The actions that can be taken in the event of failure of directors, officers, or employees to comply with the provisions of the agreement as stated in Section 8. Section 9 provides for the corporation to be exempted from the provisions of the Stamp Duty Act and the Income Tax Act. Section 10 allows changes to the agreement to be made by order of the minister. The minister is authorized to make regulations to give effect to the agreement. The authority is provided in Section 11. Section 12 outlines actions that may be taken when the act ceases to have the force of law. The signed agreement is a schedule. Madam Speaker, the government of Dominica is of the firm view that the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee will provide the 6 participating member states an opportunity to improve access to finance for the MSME community. The result will be to the benefit of our economies and our citizens. I have no doubt, therefore, that this bill will receive the support of the entire House. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The bill is now before the House for debate.
Madam Speaker, I rise to give support to the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation Agreement. Madam Speaker, it is well known that access to finance in Dominica and the wider Caribbean is indeed a challenge. There is liquidity in the banking system. However, because of the stringent traditional approach to financing micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, these enterprises have suffered over the years. There is therefore a gap in the market in which most of the development banks and commercial banks do not really pick up that slack. So it is a welcome piece of legislation to help people involved in the SME sector. From research and from my knowledge, I know that startups, especially those involved in the knowledge-based sector or where we have intellectual property, like, for example, in the music industry, it is very difficult for them to access capital because in most instances, they do not have equipment or land to actually place on the table to the banks so they could get access because of that collateral. Madam Speaker, their collateral is really their intellectual property. So to that subsector, it's a welcome act which would redound to the benefit of Dominica and the wider region, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, is an opportunity for innovation and for creativity. It's an opportunity for young entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, to actually get their chance, Madam Speaker, to start a business and to have an institution or a system which would buffer them. We must understand also, Madam Speaker, that the conventional loan application has been skewed towards the clients who can access security and not really for projects that you can look really at the net projected cash flow of those businesses or the potential of those businesses. I think it is time that in the region we move towards more a cash flow based analysis to make decisions for giving loans to small businesses, Madam Speaker. In most of the developed countries, you have that sort of system, but the SMEs in the Caribbean have suffered, and more so in the Eastern Caribbean, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm speaking from experience because I worked with the OECS for 5 years, Madam Speaker. And I myself have been involved in several businesses, though I would say I'm one of the fortunate few where my parents could at least put a piece of land for me to start up. But most young people do not have that type of opportunity. When we travel across the region, we see a lot of budding businesses struggling, lacking packaging, lacking different things like raw materials, working capital in general, Madam Speaker. And also in instances, although they may have the working capital or the money for the capital investment for equipment and machinery, they lack the technical support. So that is another area I want to touch on in a while, Madam Speaker. But I'm not going to be long on this one. I just want to say that I give it my full support, Madam Speaker. A 75% guarantee is a great start. I guess after the whole system is rolled out, the institution can look to see if they need to even increase it or if they need to decrease it, Madam Speaker. Taking into account that there are a large number of regional entrepreneurs who do not have the base, as I said earlier, that we must take into account that because those entrepreneurs do not come from a background of inheritance in terms of property and all that, we need to create a new culture in the Caribbean, and more specifically the OECS. A culture where, as I said before in the earlier debate, a culture where we can ensure that new entrepreneurs can not only focus on buy and sell, but on the productive sectors. For example, here it is that this government, this administration, have been trying with government resources to start the National Abattoir Program. And as I said, it's not just an abattoir, but the entire chain of businesses involved. For example, looking at feed, doing research into agriculture for growing specific type of plants that we can use in the processing of the feed, tying back the fishing industry to the feeding program for those animals, those birds. But Madam Speaker, what I'm trying to say here is this act opens a wide opportunity where anything can happen now, and people who did not have opportunity before can feel hopeful. We must take into account also, Madam Speaker, that as a standalone country or island, small economy, it would be more difficult for Dominica. But by joining the rest of the OECS grouping, it creates an opportunity for economies of scale, where with the different countries coming together, you can capitalize this institution better, and you can spread the risk across the countries. So each island can put less money to bring up, to get the capitalization that you are requiring to start up this institution, a regional institution. Madam Speaker, what I like about the Act also is within the Act, there are different articles within the Act, but it's the mix of the board. And there is also a due diligence process in regards to selection of people serving on the board. That there shows responsibility. And therefore, I'm saying to Dominica, through you, Madam Speaker, that this is an opportunity for a number of people, and they should keep their eyes on the ball. Even within the Act, there is also under Article 22 a policy for the committee. That again is showing fiscal responsibility and actually showing where there is a guiding process of monitoring. So again, this Act is very responsible. They may have some challenges to start it up, as I said, and we have always said that in terms of implementation within the region and in Dominica, we usually lack the capacity to get things to move quickly. So in terms of the body of the Act, I'm satisfied with the Act being presented. But I'm saying that in terms of implementation, we need to see how we work on it and ensure that it happens very quick, because we really need it in Dominica and in the region, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also want to say to this Honorable House, and specifically to the members of Cabinet, this is an opportunity where, remember we were talking about the NEP program, and also the small business program. And when we have certain programs financed by international donors, that is where we have to try to create synergies to ensure that we do not have wastage. And maybe we might start thinking more within the small business unit of pushing technical assistance and combine it with the cash, the access to cash under the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation. So when those when these SMEs get resources from those financial institutions, the small business unit can now start evolving. Like in the US, where not only a grant, but a technical assistance component, where you do some hand-holding and shepherding of those businesses to ensure that they can achieve what they seek to achieve. Just a caution, not a negativity. We must also understand the statistics. Maybe about 20–30% of businesses, especially startup businesses, may survive within the first 3 years of existence. So that we have to pay particular attention to that. And Honorable Minister, you have a cabinet, you have people within cabinet like the Honorable Tong, you have other members like Honorable McIntyre, and other members, I don't have to call everybody name, ministers, sorry, who have background in SME, some may be larger businesses than others, but I think you can count on us to guide the process, especially revolutionizing the small business unit. And Honorable Minister of Employment, we need to look to see how we can revolutionize the National Employment Program and move it more into a support to the productive sector, where we can take the advice of the opposition and ensure that things are more sustainable. But I think that is a welcome opportunity for Dominica, a welcome opportunity for the region. So I give it my full support and like to say thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, the parliamentary opposition welcomes this initiative to facilitate better access to credit finance for micro, small, and medium enterprises in Dominica. We find no discord with the harmonies of the bill, and we're pleased to support the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Cooperation Agreement. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I too, as Minister for Employment, would like to lend my support to the bill, Madam Speaker, before this House. And Madam Speaker, we're really experiencing a historical moment in this House, in this sitting, Madam Speaker. Really, you know. Madam Speaker, I happen to be one of the, Madam Speaker, I happen to be one of the oldest members of the House. I've been here for 18 years. And Madam Speaker, I must say that yes, only the Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, Madam Speaker, is older than me in the House, having joined the House in February, and I am coming in December, Madam Speaker. But I must say, it is a historic moment when we have such cooperation coming from the opposition, which we have been calling for, Madam Speaker, for the longest while. And I suspect that it has a lot to do with the great move by the Honorable Minister for the Environment. And I hope that it shall continue in that vein, Madam Speaker, in the House. But, Madam Speaker, suffice it to say, Madam Speaker, I think that this is a great move. And, you know, it just shows the foresight and the brilliance and the vision of the leadership of this government and the government on a whole. Because we started the small business development program in Dominica. We had the small business for years now. And we were criticized, we were vilified. They said that we were electioneering, we were politicking, we were wasting monies, Madam Speaker. And here it is today. We see that the economic union of the Eastern Caribbean and the Eastern Caribbean states, together with the ECCB, legitimizing, Madam Speaker, the small business development unit in Dominica, really, by establishing the partial credit guarantees. Yes, and even the Youth Business Trust, Madam Speaker, in Dominica, which this government has established. And I'll not be surprised if what we're doing here right now in the establishment of this regional institution really had its genesis in those movements in Dominica. You know, I think we need to do some research on that. Dominica may have been the forerunner of this movement that we are seeing here today. But again, I'm not surprised. This has been the legacy of this government. I mean, there are a number of initiatives I can stand here and speak to that this government has been a regional forerunner, and we will continue so to do, Madam Speaker. Because, I mean, it is a fact now that the Honorable Prime Minister is one of the leading leaders of the CARICOM region right now, not only in his experience and the amount of years he has been at the helm, but in his brilliance and in his direction that he continues to give and his guidance that he continues to give to CARICOM and other regional bodies, Madam Speaker. So we're very excited about that, because in any region, in any country, even in the great United States, small businesses, what we call the mom and pop operations, is the base of the economy, Madam Speaker. And we can see it in Dominica here. Our little Lolo, as we call them, and our little rub shops, and our people selling their little popcorn and coconut cheese, and people having their little poultry operation. We were self-sufficient in eggs before Hurricane Maria, Madam Speaker. We have examples right here in Dominica. I mean, even today, my officers at the multipurpose pack house send me some statistics, Madam Speaker. And we would be shocked to know in Dominica that we have been doing very well in Irish potatoes, Madam Speaker. We generate $81,000 so far for the season, and these are monies going back to the ordinary farmers. And I want to tell the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, and I was just hinting to him, that I believe that we should double the order of Irish potato seeds for the next season, Madam Speaker, because it's very good. And while I am on that, the only way that those institutions are going to succeed and thrive and to meet their purpose for supporting the small businesses within the region, really, is for us, the citizens of the region of Dominica and the sub-region, to continue to support our own indigenous businesses. We must buy what is produced in our region, Madam Speaker. That is the only way the abattoir is going to survive. That is the only way the Irish potato farmers I'm speaking of is going to survive. That is the only way that agriculture is going to come back to its prominence of the position that it held pre-Hurricane Maria, Madam Speaker. That is what we have to do. We have to continue to support our small, medium-sized businesses on a grassroots level, on a regional level, and that will not only generate revenue, especially in the rural communities, but it will create employment. People can be self-employed, they can create their own businesses, Madam Speaker, and they can help to grow the economy. I mean, we keep looking at, all of the major endeavors and massive investments and foreign investors coming. Yes, we can look at that at the macro level, yes, at the top, while we continue to establish the Kapinskis and the Anichis of Dominica right now. But at the end of the day, the small and medium-sized enterprises is the base of especially the rural economy. And that is why what we are doing here today is so vital and important. And I believe that the Honorable Minister for the Environment has given us the economic perspective of this bill. But I wanted to put the political slant, the socio-political slant, and the benefits to the ordinary man and to the rural folk, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to make a very brief intervention with respect to the bill before the House. Like the speakers before me, I stand to support the bill. It is the piece of legislation, it is sub-regional in nature, and therefore it is a bill that's based on, I would expect, good research and an understanding of the sector, and as such, putting up the various things, what is required. I'd just like to make three observations. I note with interest the fact that once the board is established by the council, it's left to the technocrats in the sector, both at the local and sub-regional level, to run the institution, suggesting that there will be minimum interference from the political directorates throughout the region, sub-region, in terms with the operation of the institution, which I think it's enlightening. The second observation I made is the fact that the qualifications of members who have to sit on the various boards, as the case may be, specify what their qualification background is to be, and so forth, suggesting again that enterprises of this nature, institutions of this nature, should be run by persons who understand the sector, who understand the industry. The other observation I would like to make, Madam Speaker, is the fact that we are talking about two levels. One, qualifying, it's participating lender and qualifying enterprises. Participating lender meaning, for example, if the credit unions want to participate in the process, like organizer businesses like Fast Cash, etc. And also the qualifying businesses would be the small enterprises around that can qualify. But it's the legislation proceeds to specify that they must qualify, meaning that they have to meet certain criteria. So this is where we have to play a role, and the government in particular has to play its role. Awareness. Making the potential businesses here in Dominica that can participate aware of the issues, aware of what is required for them to access the funding and the opportunities that are being provided. Technical support, the Minister for and the Environment made mention of that. making sure that your department concerned with that area has the capacity to provide the technical support to the institutions or the businesses out there that wish to access funding from that institution. And I make this because, Madam Speaker, one sub-regional institution that comes to mind, it was a Caribbean Home Mortgage Corporation of Bank that was established by the sub-region. And we in Dominica, although we are participating in this institution, there was very little benefit. There's countries like St. Kitts, St. Vincent, Grenada, access a lot of money from that institution. I know, for example, the Social Security had investments in there. But right now, the institution is basically out of existence. And one has to find out what really caused it, and so that the lessons learned there can be applied to ensure that this organization has been set up for the sub-region does not go through the same problem. But it is one thing to have regional institution or sub-regional institution, but the participating country at the national level must ensure that they put things in place so that we or the institutions intended to benefit will benefit. These are the ends of my brief intervention, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I stand to lend support to the bill before us for the establishment of the partial credit guarantee scheme. This is a discussion we've had at the Monetary Council level for a couple of years now. We all recognize in the sub-region that small and medium-sized enterprises are critical for job creation and economic activity, especially in the rural communities of the sub-region. But in developing that scheme, there are a number of issues that have been identified in the sub-region. One of which is that there is no mechanism in many of the islands in the sub-region to facilitate such schemes, especially with the absence of a development bank in those islands. We in Dominica, we are fortunate to have the aid bank that could be potentially used as the facilitator of this arrangement. And one of the suggestions I made to my colleagues at the Monetary Council is that we will need to look at, in the long run, the creation of a development bank within the OECS to facilitate some of those interventions, especially where agriculture is concerned, because many commercial banks do not have an appetite to lend to agriculture. They do not have an appetite because of the risk aversion to lend to small businesses and micro businesses. A lot of commercial banks involved in consumables. They'll give you a loan for a vehicle, but they will not give you a loan to invest. They will not give you a loan to build a home. Because you have 5 years to repay the vehicle. So it is a quick turnover for them. And that's what capitalism is. That's what the free market economy is about. So I'm not necessarily criticizing them. So we really need to move in order for us to consolidate the gains that we'll make from this effort, move in the sub-region to the creation of a development bank. Small, but use it as a mechanism towards facilitating a number of these initiatives like what we present in the Parliament today. What we have done in the interim to facilitate this arrangement is to create an entity that would have representation from each country, and also the regional private sector would be represented. In our case in Dominica, Mr. Alexander Stevenson of the Ministry of Commerce is Dominica's representative on that board, and I believe Mr. Lander, who is the local manager of the First Caribbean Bank, is the regional private sector's representative on that board. Just today, Madam Speaker, incidentally, I signed a letter for the chairman of the Central Bank, the Monetary Council, sorry, for the appointment of the board to give effect to this arrangement that we're passing here in the Parliament today. But this follows, Madam Speaker, what we've had in Dominica, I believe, since I was Minister for Youth Affairs, which is some time now, where we created the Youth Business Trust. So this is essentially the Youth Business Trust. Just that in case of the Youth Business Trust, in some cases we provide a guarantee for 100% of the loan amount borrowed by the young person in Dominica. And what we have done is that we have placed monies in the bank to guarantee the amounts borrowed by the young people. So we have a training program, they write a business plan, they submit it to the bank, it's approved, they take $40,000. That $40,000 is guaranteed by the government. Essentially saying to the young people, we will hold your hands. We will see you through this, because many young people who like to get involved in businesses do not have titles, certificate titles. They do not have assets, but they have an idea. They have the propensity towards entrepreneurship. And many people walk around our country with ideas, but no money to implement it. And this small business, this Youth Business Trust has created gainful employment for many young people across Dominica. For many young people across Dominica over the years. And there's a board managing the resources and so forth. But in putting the Youth Business Trust together, we had an issue of not reaching the wider small and micro and medium-sized businesses in the country. And I recall one year we put in $10 million into the commercial bank, National Bank of Dominica. And they were really flat-footed. It's not a criticism of the bank, it's just that the commercial banks don't think of those things. They were flat-footed. They weren't able to implement that special arrangement for small business in Dominica, where we would have lent money to people at 2% and put in $10 million in the bank. We had to pull this money back out, and we gave to the National Development Foundation of Dominica $5 million to lend to the small business and community in Dominica. And we've also placed monies at the National Bank, at the Aid Bank, sorry, to do the same for small businesses. So we decided to create this small business unit. And with everything, Madam Speaker, as you go along, you learn from experiences. There are improvements of systems and controls and reporting and oversight and so forth. But one cannot set aside the fact that the small business unit has impacted positively many small businesses across the country. With this thing, what happens is that it arouses the interest of others. So there'll always be people who will be coming to you for first-time help and for additional help, because people feel that they're doing well, they want to expand, they want to strengthen their systems, they want to buy equipment, and they keep on moving. I recall going to Atkinson, and there's this young lady, this farmer who would do cocoa sticks and cocoa powder and export it to Guadeloupe and Martinique. But she was doing it in a manual form. And we, through the small business, provided her with the financial resources to buy the equipment to grind the cocoa. And this young lady, there is not enough cocoa in Dominica for her to process and export because of this, Madam Speaker. So there's still opportunity, and I think we can put all of these things together. The more opportunities are there, the better for community, for country, for the economy, for job creation, Madam Speaker. So we look forward to this being implemented. This is a loan from the World Bank that the government, the country of Dominica, is borrowing from the World Bank, and we are guaranteeing, that's why it says partial credit guarantee scheme, which means that the government of Dominica is placing money. So it is like collateral. It is like when somebody co-signs for you. And if you don't pay, then they will take money from us. So it's important that those of us who will become beneficiaries from this program can understand the seriousness of the agreements which they enter into. You know, sometimes people criticize government for having certain programs, saying that people are abusing it. I think sometimes we have to pay attention to those who we think are abusing the programs, but not seek to destroy the program itself. You'll always, any system you have, Madam Speaker, anywhere in the world, you'll always have a 10% or 15% of beneficiaries who will not use the resources properly. That's why in banks, Madam Speaker, banks give loans, there'll always be a percentage of non-performing loans. There'll always be that. People will fall into some difficulty or deliberately not honor their obligations. So it is not necessarily the program or the management or the administration of the program. It is how human beings react, having benefited from these programs. But as time goes by, you do evaluation, you assess things, you speak to beneficiaries, and you improve the system so that people can benefit more. But this government, Madam Speaker, we in government, we are committed to assisting small businesses. We will continue to do so. We believe that it has an important role to play in our society, because even in the United States of America, the largest economy in the world, it is not big business that's creating all the jobs, you know. It is the SMEs that are really creating the jobs, you know, and sustainable jobs. You know, because if you have 100 businesses and each of them providing 5 jobs, that's 500 jobs. You understand? 500 jobs, but you may have a big business that only provides 30 jobs because of the nature of the activities. They have more mechanization taking place. They replace human beings with robots and so forth and machines. And so you may have a multinational company, but only employing a few people as compared when you look at all the small businesses that are established, that are making serious money, Madam Speaker. So we're committed to that, and I certainly look forward to its implementation, and that the people of Dominica can benefit from this very important scheme. Just to say to the public that the $2 million that we're borrowing from the World Bank will not be the total amount that we will provide guarantees for. We will look at it based on the demand, and if there is an appetite for it from our citizens and it is being taken advantage of, we will certainly increase our guarantee to this program to ensure its sustainability and to assure its success. Madam Speaker, thank you.
Madam Speaker, I rise to give my full support to this bill, the Credit Guarantee Corporation Agreement. Madam Speaker, we always hear the saying that opportunity favors the prepared. And I dare say that in this day and age, many of our youth, many of our middle-aged people, and many of our experienced people have many ideas. But the challenge has always been the access to capital, the access to funds, and the affordable access to those funds. Regardless who you are, you still face all of these challenges. You need to have a great business plan, you need to have insurance, you need to have life insurance, you need to have property insurance, you need to have security, and you also need to have persons to co-sign for you. I dare say that this is a really an amazing time for entrepreneurs and potential entrepreneurs, because this facility, this bill, is going to give persons the ability to create businesses that they've had in their minds for the longest time. Many of us who are entrepreneurs, we have files, we have ideas, and we have so much great ideas and business plans that we'd like to launch. But the issue is that we can't find or we can't get access to that finances to start off those businesses. The government of Dominica has the NEP program, which provides persons the ability to train themselves, to learn, to get experience. You have the small business grants, which allows you to start up your small businesses. As the Prime Minister mentioned, you have the Dominica Youth Business Trust, which allows you to go a step further. But I think this bill will allow even slightly larger companies to be able to start. And I dare say that this affects everyone. And I was reading on a website just recently about a company and the challenges that the persons went through. And it's the same for all of us. The person had a fantastic idea, a great idea, where the cash flow would have been amazing, but that person did not have any family member to sign for him, so he couldn't get the loan. He didn't have any land titles to provide, so he could not get the loan. That person spoke to all of their friends and all of their close friends, and nobody, believed in that person. Therefore, that great idea that they had, they were not able to do it at that point in time. But luckily, that person never gave up. That person thought of innovative ways, and eventually that person was able to start that company and get that company moving. And today, that company is in over 8 countries throughout the Caribbean. But just imagine if more of us had that opportunity to get access to affordable capital, or even at a decent rate. Imagine how much more businesses that could be started, not only in Dominica, but throughout the Caribbean. As the Prime Minister said, small businesses generate over 60% of the jobs. So the more of these companies we can start, or the more of these companies we can provide the opportunity to start, it means the more jobs that will be created in Dominica, the more economic activity there will be in Dominica, the more all of us will be able to take care of our children, to pay our bills. So I fully support this bill, and I ask all of the entrepreneurs to educate yourselves. You must educate yourself. Learn about this program, and I'm sure the Ministry of Small Business will have their programs, but they can only do so much. We ourselves have to embrace those opportunities. So I ask you to, once the bill is passed, reach out to the Ministry of Small Business, speak to Mr. Stevenson, and embrace those opportunities so that we can push Dominica further, and not only have these businesses in Dominica. Let us be bigger than that. Let us move out of Dominica. Let us move to the other Caribbean countries and expand as much as possible. Thank you very much.
Madam Speaker, I too want to give my unwavering support to the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation Agreement. Madam Speaker, I first want to say I must really commend the government of Dominica for the leadership they have shown to encourage innovation in Dominica. Because as the member of VECAS said, because of the Youth Business Trust Fund, many young people in Dominica on a micro level were able to access financing at institutions because of the guarantee provided by that unit. And also to say that that unit not only that unit also provided support, because most of the, if not all of the young people benefiting from that fund also undergo training. So they help them to account for their revenues, teach them how to practice, to have best financial practices, and how to manage their businesses effectively. So they gave them knowledge and the ability to access financing. But I really want to support this act on three points. One, it boosts creativity. One of the things I really love about our youth today is that they're not afraid to take a risk. There are many young people with great ideas, especially in the technology field. They have ideas to develop applications, which is a great opportunity to earn revenue these days. And one of the challenges they've been having is that because most banks are faced with non-performing assets on their financial statements, they are not really interested in taking high risk. And if you're starting a new business, you will appreciate that you have to do research and development, you may have to market it. So it is considered in the category of high risk, especially if you do not have collateral. So by this facility providing at least up to 80%, 75% of the collateral needed, the person who is interested in making an investment would only have to look for at 20%, which given the support government has been given to micro, medium, and large businesses, it may be easy for that person now to even get some grant funding from the small business ministry in our government. In terms of medium businesses, because in order to qualify as a micro business, it says that you has an annual revenue or projected revenue of less than $75,000. So a micro business, which revenue will be less than $75,000 annually, can access those funds. Now, a medium business earning a revenue of less than $400,000 can access those funds. So coming off post-Maria situation, where a lot of probably medium businesses suffer damages and loss and may not have the equity to face a financial institution to rebuild their businesses or expand, this provides a great opportunity for them to do so. So I just want them to know that it's not only micro but medium businesses and also large corporations with annual financials of $2 million can also access that facility. So it's a great opportunity for medium businesses to now consider expansion in Dominica, which will help create more jobs for our people. And finally, I want to support it on timeliness, because what is happening because of the high rate of non-performing assets in most financial institutions, there's a new standard, accounting standard coming out, IFRS 9, which says that when, like in the past, historically, when you access credit, if you default on that credit, then provision is made by the bank for people who default. But you only consider making that provision probably 90 days after the first time the loan defaults. But now this standard is saying, from the time you book the loan, so from the time the person applies for the loan and the loan is approved, you have to start providing for that loan. So you have to treat every new debt as if it has the likelihood of going bad immediately. So that increases the cost of capital to the lender and increases the amount of collateral you have to give upfront. So the timeliness of this agreement is important, because that standard is going to take effect, I think it's either 2019, by January 2019. All businesses and all financial institutions should have implemented that standard. So this agreement is timely, so that business owners, small business owners now have the ability to at least get guarantee from the Eastern Caribbean Partial Corporation, Credit Corporation. So, Madam Speaker, I just wanted to make these few points to say that this is a very timely agreement, and it will go a long way in boosting creativity and the expansion of small businesses in Dominica. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, as articulated, this bill is very important to MSME development in Dominica. It helps us to address one of the most common core issues that affect the development of enterprise, that is access to finance. It is also one which is youth-friendly, since youth often do not have the necessary collateral or cannot meet the traditional requirements of several of the banks, development and commercial banks. It also allows for risk-taking to allow all of the interest persons in enterprise to invest in business that they would not otherwise have been able to do. It also will provide for greater stability for financial institutions so that you will have less non-performing loans since they have this guarantee fund. It's, as some of the colleagues here have said, it will stimulate innovation and entrepreneurship. And it is based on the principle of inclusion. So many MSMEs, they have not been able to draw down on loans from the various financial institutions. So it gives greater inclusion of MSMEs in accessing loans. And it offers the banks as well the opportunity to provide new financing, new financial products to the organization. This piece of legislation it adds to what we in Dominica have been doing and some of the other OECS countries in terms of enterprise development. And you've heard that MSMEs contribute to job creation, it contributes to increased goods and services, it helps in the expansion of the rural economy in particular. So, as we said, finance is important, the necessary training, and we at the Ministry of Commerce has been doing training and providing technical support to MSMEs. So, adding the opportunity for finance and for taking risk is taking us a step closer to assisting MSMEs in Dominica. We, in terms of training, this month we will be having a resilience workshop for enterprise people involved in entrepreneurship, so that we are very cognizant of building more resilient businesses. So there's a lot that we are doing and we continue to do, and so we are happy to have this bill presented today before this honorable house today. So, Madam Speaker, in sum, we present this bill for the, what is it, final reading? To the House, sorry.
Okay, this concludes the debate on the bill. Okay. It has been moved and seconded that the bill shortly entitled the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation Agreement be read a second time. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. The bill will now be read a second time.
Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation Agreement Act 2018.
The bill now stands committed to a committee of the whole House to be considered clause by clause. House is in committee. Clause 1. House resumes, and I have to report that the bill shortly entitled the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation Agreement passed through the committee stage without amendment. The question is that the report on the committee for the bill be adopted. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it.
Madam Speaker, I move that the bill shortly entitled Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation Act 2018 be read a third time and passed.
Seconder. It has been moved and seconded that the bill shortly entitled the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation Agreement be read a third time and passed. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. The bill will now be read a third time.
Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation Act 2018.
The bill has been read a third time and passed accordingly.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House be suspended for 20 minutes. 20 minutes? 20 minutes.
Seconded, Madam Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that this Honorable House be suspended for 20 minutes. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. There's some refreshments for those who wish.
Titled Rapid Response Social Recovery Act 2018.
Seconded, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, the current public support agency is recognized by many as one of the success stories of this government.
Definitely.
We continue to be encouraged by the outpouring of gratitude from individuals, relatives, and families who, through the public support program, have witnessed and experienced the life-changing impact in a number of areas such as healthcare, housing, agriculture, among others. Madam Speaker, we have said repeatedly that if persons do not have the wherewithal to help themselves, then we believe firmly that it's the responsibility of the state to help them. The public support program from its inception has been that support for thousands of Dominicans. We also maintain, Madam Speaker, that because we are determined to meet urgent needs of our people in periods of vulnerability, that these interventions and responses by the state must be swift and rapid. It cannot be bogged down in bureaucracy to the extent that the resulting delay renders the response null and void. As you all would appreciate, in cases where the response is required for urgent medical assistance, delay is not an option. Madam Speaker, it's in this recognition of these ideals that we continue to explore every means to increase and even more the efficiency and effectiveness of this program. Consequently, in January of 2018, directive was given that by March 15, 2018, a new statutory agency will replace the public support program and the agency that administers it. According to the directive, the entity shall be independent of the public service, but subjected to all the necessary financial oversights. The new agency is to be named the Rapid Response Social Recovery Agency, and it will balance efficiency and speed. Madam Speaker, the work is completed, and we are now here in the first sitting of this House after the completion to introduce the Rapid Response Social Recovery Bill. The Rapid Response Social Recovery Bill will seek to establish an agency to provide urgent public support and relief to persons in need and for related matters. The bill is divided into 10 parts. This is the preliminary part and part 1 to 4. The short title and interpretation clause are set out in clause 1 and 2 respectively. Clause 2 contains definitions of a few words and terms which are used in the bill. Madam Speaker, part 1 of the bill, clause 3 to 5, provides for the establishment of the Rapid Response Social Recovery Agency as a body corporate. The functions of the agency are set out in clause 4. Part 2 provides for the administration of the agency. Clause 6 provides for the appointment of a board of directors of the agency. The composition of the board and some other matters relating to the board are set out in the second schedule. The board will perform the function and exercise the power conferred on the agency under the bill. Clause 7 will require a member of the board who has an interest in a matter before the board to disclose his interest before that matter is addressed by the board. Clause 9 will require the board to appoint an executive director subject to the approval of the minister at a remuneration and subject to the terms of the board that the board thinks fit. The executive director will be responsible for the management of the agency, including the organization of the staff in accordance with the general terms and conditions of service established by the board. Clause 2 would authorize the board to establish committees. The board is required to establish an executive review committee, clause 11(1). This committee will be responsible for assessing applications for support or relief before the applications are submitted to the board for consideration, clause 12(2). Clause 13 will confer on the board the power to delegate. Clause 14 will provide for the minister to give general policy direction to the board concerning social recovery support, and relief measures. Clause 15 would empower the board to make rules. The chairman of the board will be required to give notice in writing of every proposed resolution to make rules under the Clause 15 or for the amendment or revocation of any existing rule. Madam Speaker, Part 3 addresses the funds, accounts, and reports. The funds of the agency would consist of monies appropriated by Parliament, grants or gifts from financial or funding agencies, and any other money lawfully contributed, donated, or bequeathed to the agency, or received by the agency from any other source, Clause 16. The expense of the agency, including the remuneration of members of the board and staff of the agency, will be paid out from funds of the agency, Clause 17. Clause 18 requires the board to prepare and submit budget estimates to the minister each financial year. Clause 19 requires all monies accruing to the received by the agency to be paid into a bank or banks specified by a resolution of the board. Clause 19 would also require checks drawn against and any transfer or similar transactions from any bank account of the agency to be signed or authorized by not less than 2 persons authorized by resolution of the board to do so, and a copy of the resolution certified by the chairman will be forwarded to the bank concerned. Clause 20 requires the executive director to keep accounts and other records in relation to the business of the agency and to prepare annual statements of account in a form satisfactory to the minister, which forms most conform to the best commercial and accounting standards. Clause 22 would require that the accounts of the agency be audited annually by the auditor appointed by the board with the approval of the minister. Clause 21, Madam Speaker, would require the board to submit within 4 months of the end of a financial year a report dealing with the proceedings and policies of the agency during that financial year. The minister is required to ensure that a copy of the report, together with the annual statement of accounts and the auditor's report of the statement of accounts, are submitted to the House of Assembly. Madam Speaker, in Part 5, Clause 22 to 27 is titled Miscellaneous. Clause 22 addresses the validity of proceedings, and this clause provides that an act done or proceedings taken under the act shall not be questioned or invalidated on grounds of A, of the existence of any vacancy in the membership or of any defect in the constitution of the board, or B, of any omission, defect, or irregularity. Clause 23 would protect a member of the board or committee, the executive director, or any person acting under the authority of any of them from liability in a personal capacity to any action, liability, claim, or demand whatsoever in respect of anything done or omitted to be done in good faith for the purpose of executing any of the provisions of the Act or regulations made under the Act. Clause 24 would exempt the agency from the payment of income tax and stamp duty on all instruments executed by or on behalf of the agency. Clause 25(1) requires a person to whom funds are disbursed for support or relief under the Act to use the money for the purpose for which it was intended. Clause 25(2) would require a person who acts contrary to the requirement of Clause 25(1) or who is no longer in need of the support or relief requested in his application for support or relief, and in respect of or to whom the agency has disbursed funds to repay the money to the agency. Further, Clause 25(3) provides that where a person to whom money is paid for support or relief under this Act and who contravenes Clause 25(1) or 2, the money paid is a debt to the agency, and without prejudice to any other method of recovery, the agency may recover the money as a civil debt in a court of competent jurisdiction. Clause 26 would provide the minister to amend the first schedule, the list of areas relation to which the agency may entertain applications for support of relief, order published in the Gazette. Clause 27 would empower the minister to make regulations that he considers necessary to expedients for giving effect to the Act, the Minister may make regulations as follows. A, designating severely affected areas or groups of persons deserving assistance from the agency. B, prescribing maximum amounts which may be disbursed from the fund of the agency for any type of project or activity. C, prescribing conditions of disbursement. D, respecting monitoring and follow-up by the agency after disbursement is made for support or relief. And E, prescribing the forms and manner of application for support or relief. Madam Speaker, this government looks forward to establishing an improved performance of this agency and for its provision of top quality service with even greater impact and benefit to all nationals and residents of Dominica who deserve it. Madam Speaker, I commend this Rapid Response Social Recovery Agency bill to this Honorable House for its consideration.
The bill is now before the House for debate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to make my presentation and state my position with respect to the bill before the House. Madam Speaker, every country has a moral responsibility to assist the less fortunate and those who are in need of assistance during or after an emergency, or whether there's an emergency or not. Towards this end, Madam Speaker, one should support measures that are transparent, accountability, and void of political or decisions. This bill, Madam Speaker, Rapid Response and Social Recovery Agency, the state's objective and the reasons are to provide urgent public support and relief to persons in need and for related matters. The bill therefore assumes that implied that the existing administrative system and structures of the public service are incapable of responding adequately to urgent requests for social assistance. 18 years, Madam Speaker, of the government in power, and they are introducing a bill that suggests that the existing public service system lacks the capacity to respond adequately to needs of urgent requests for assistance. Therefore, Madam Speaker, the government, through the Rapid Response Agency, is suggest that they're putting superior systems in place to satisfy the shortcomings in the public service administration with respect to providing urgent needed social assistance. Which are the areas of assistance or sectors that they are looking at, Madam Speaker? It is found in the first schedule: house repair and drainage, health, education, poverty alleviation, access to water sanitation, micro businesses, and recovery from natural disasters. I submit, Madam Speaker, there are only 2 areas here that one can genuinely say that you would expect, and you would expect quite a number of requests possibly, and expect that the government would have an interest and a need to consider providing rapid or assistance to people. That's in health and recovery from natural disasters. The other sectors, Madam Speaker, there are ministries in place and agencies in place, and problems in those areas are progressive. If the government is on top of what's happening in the country and monitoring what's happening in the sectors and developing plans, programs that meet the needs of the country, they would know where the problems are, so it does not appear and reach the stage of having to do urgent and a rapid response in areas of house repair, poverty, education. Maybe now and then something happened to a student or the parents of a student, they need to get urgently funds to pay university fees, but that's occasional. You want to set up an agency specifically to do things like that? Access to water and sanitation. Where is the urgency, Madam Speaker? Where is the urgency? Madam Speaker, the government suggests that we on this side fail to consult. We fail to provide and consult with them. And the way of we assisting is that they expect us to come across like the Minister of the Environment. No. No. You can provide assistance and you can participate and help the government if the government gives you an opportunity to consult. There are people, there are Dominicans in the diaspora. There are people out there in the private sector. A bill of this nature, we are taking it through free readings in the House. And no white paper, no program of 2.6 describing exactly what you're doing. You come over by there, and right away it becomes a bill. And we are sitting in this House in 3 readings, not giving people out there, not giving the persons with skills out there to consult and advise the government as to the adequacy of the bill, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let us look at what exists right now in the sectors, particularly in all the sectors mentioned. What is the process, the decision-making process with respect to the areas mentioned? As far as I'm aware, I expected the minister to describe and detail what is the current process. For example, they said that, yes, they're responding quickly and rapidly, so therefore they want to institutionalize what's happening now, which is basically legitimizing the Red Clinic. Well, I expected the minister to describe, so one can critically analyze and compare what exists now compared to what they are proposing. What I understand right now, and the minister will correct maybe when it comes to conclude the debate, is that you get a request, it goes to the ministry. If the ministry, it might be referred to a technical officer or whoever, as the case may be in the ministry. The permanent secretary might have to review and make a decision, send it to the minister if needs be, identify in the budget if there's a head where this matter can be attended to, and then a decision is taken. If it's not go to cabinet, it will go to cabinet. And the government is now saying that the process is too slow. I am suggesting, Madam Speaker, the reason why this process might be too slow, as they are suggesting, is because the government has failed to do the necessary. Should government provide the adequate staffing and financial resources, encourage and facilitate preparation of strategic plans which are based on clear policy objectives, sound policies, feasible programs and projects in response to the socio-economic needs of all citizens in a transparent and accountable manner, there would be no need for this Red Clinic bill. Remove the square pegs in round holes in the public service, the political appointees, in many key senior positions of the public service. Encourage and provide continuous training of human resources in the senior positions. Stop the victimizations of public servants. And the government will, and the sector will respond adequately to the needs of the population, Madam Speaker. This is what I'm suggesting. Let us look what is being proposed now, Madam Speaker. Let us consider the area of appointments and qualifications of the board and persons to be serving on the board. The board of 5 members appointed by the minister, Section 1 of the second schedule. Section 1 of the second schedule, Madam Speaker, reads as follows. The board shall consist of 5 members appointed by the minister. So you have a board, the minister appoints 5 members. Note that, Madam Speaker, nowhere in the legislation makes no mention of the qualifications of persons who should serve on the board. So in other words, I don't want to risk the chance of imputing improper motives, so I will not state it. But the risk is that, whereas the act or the bill, suggests that members of the House of Assembly cannot sit on it, but there's no restriction of ensuring that all members of the board, the chairpersons or campaign managers, and the bill will be on the statutes. So do not take me wrong, suggesting that it is specific to this. You are the one introducing the bill. I will just conclude, and I do make my conclusion, that the bill has no place in the law books of Dominica because of the way it is being submitted. Then we go to an executive director to be appointed by the board on the approval of the minister. Part 2, Section 9.1. Then we go to the executive review committees, comprising of 2 persons and the executive, appointed by the board in consultation with the minister. And then we go to the auditor, The auditor that will be auditing the accounts of that rapid response board has to be approved by the minister. And, Madam Speaker, there is a popular calypso, there's a popular line in a calypso. Everything in one whole. This is what it is. The minister has to approve everything. But it goes further, you know, Madam Speaker. It goes further, you know. It goes further. That the Act provides that the minister will make the decision when the matter is referred to him or her. But the Act provides for the minister to delegate that responsibility. That is at B1, Section B1, that is the decision to whether to approve or not approve. It's written subject to the availability of funds and resources, and after consultation with the minister will approve an application for public support. And the minister has the responsibility and the authority to delegate that decision, his authority to make that decision to any minister. Any minister. So in effect, the whole cabinet of ministers are ministers for the purpose of the administration of this act. This is what it boils down to. This is what it boils down to, because the minister who has the responsibility to make the decision to approve has the authority to delegate the responsibility to anybody, any other minister. That's what it is. So, Madam Speaker, when you come to your turn, you will respond. So, Madam Speaker, I'm making the point that the way the board and the organization is structured is such that the minister will micromanage essentially the agency, because everything has to go back to the minister. I made the reference earlier on when we were passing the last piece of legislation we passed, Madam Speaker. That is the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Cooperation, and made the observation that once the Council of Ministers appointed that board, that is it. The technocrats in there decide. I have to
remind the member again that you cannot go back to other bills that you have. I'm making a ruling.
Madam Speaker, I'm not going back. I'm just showing an example how this one piece of legislation
of a bill that is to come, or it went already, in which case it's going back.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you for your observation. Thank you for your observation, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, there we are. And what is the qualification? No, not the agents, not the executive director, no member of the board, notwithstanding the sectors that they are responsible to make decisions on. For example, health. But the Act is silent as to the qualifications of persons who should sit on the board or can be executive director, etc. It is not good legislation, because essentially this is another board you appoint political operatives. Political operatives. Good legislation, and if you are given the sectors, then one would expect that you specify the qualifications of persons who can sit on that board for decision making, or the executive committee, as the case may be. But it's silent on the matter, leaving everything for the minister to decide, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the issue facing this country is that right now, the people of Dominica want the government to act, and act quickly. And the rapid response that the country needs right now, is for the distribution of building materials now, in possession of government, to all Hurricane Maria affected communities, Madam Speaker, so reconstruction can proceed concurrently in every affected community. Madam Speaker, the rapid response that the people need now is for government to reduce the cost of construction for homeowners who are struggling to repair their homes with very limited funds from the insurance company as the hurricane season approaches. That is what we want with rapid response. The VAT, the issue about the removal of the VAT, the issue about putting material costs, construction costs is increasing. Examine the possibility of putting specific important materials on the price control, because people are taking advantage of home owners right now, given the increasing cost of construction. Madam Speaker, the rapid response that this country needs right now is for the government to provide some level of assistance, financial assistance, to the many uninsured single parents, majority of whom are women, who lose everything they had in terms of their household effects. Some of them lose their jobs And right now, they're there, ladies and Madam Speaker. That is the rapid response we need. The rapid response we need is to facilitate DOMLEC with the electrification of them, particularly rural communities, to avoid total collapse of the rural communities, and to enable children of poor people, to do their homework, those who cannot afford a generator, Madam Speaker. This is the rapid response we need. The rapid response that we need right now is for the repair of our pothole-filled roads to reduce the cost of vehicle maintenance for motorists and improve road safety. This is the rapid response the people of this country, not the legalization of the Red Clinic, Madam Speaker. The institutions of right now can handle it and can do it. We leave out the government interference and they will do it. The rapid response the government and the people of this Dominica needs right now, Madam Speaker, is the removal of the debris and old galvanized stockpiled throughout the country, like, for example, Casterbridge playing field. It is creating a threat, a health threat, mosquito-borne diseases, rodents, and snakes. This is the rapid response we need from this government in terms of the immediate needs of this country, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the rapid response the people of Dominica needs right now is for the government to provide assistance to farmers so we can get back to us food security and improve and increase our export earnings from agriculture, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the rapid response the people of Dominica needs right now is for the government to provide the assistance to the Electoral Commission so that the financial and manpower, so that we can have genuine electoral reform, so that when election comes soon, that the people can vote this incompetent government out. That is the rapid response we need right now, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, given the many pressing needs, I view this bill as nothing more than a shameless approach to establish a fund using state resources for vote catching and vote buying. That's how I see it, Madam Speaker. I therefore...
this last part, the vote buying, you have to withdraw that.
I withdraw it, ma'am, if you think it is. If you think it is...
I don't want any response from you. Just withdraw it, please.
Why? But I must have a reason why I should withdraw it. I must have a reason to withdraw it. On what part of the outstanding orders I need to withdraw it?
You know very well it's imputing improper motive.
No, I don't know everything like some people.
No. You know very well when you are imputing improper motive.
I withdraw it if you think so. Madam Speaker, I therefore will not support this bill. I know that the government will use its parliamentary majority to make this bill legal. However, the soon-to-be the United Workers' Party government, under the capable leadership of Honorable Lennox Linton, will repeal the bill. It has no place on the law books of Dominica. A bill in this form does not belong on the law books of Dominica and countries with accountable, transparent governments, Madam Speaker. I therefore will not support the bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I must take a deep breath, Madam Speaker. Because the rapid response we do not need in this country is not Isaac Baptist and the United Workers' Party. The senator. Because you see, Madam Speaker, when I sat there and I listened to the senator speak, I'm being supported by his colleagues, Madam Speaker. Clearly, you can see that this opposition does not care people. Clearly, Madam Speaker, you can see the intentions of the opposition. And to hear the senator say that if the United Workers' Party forms the government, they will repeal this bill, God forbid, this will be a dark day in Dominica. But, Madam Speaker, I have hope and I have confidence that the Dominican people will continue to keep this United Workers' Party in opposition, Madam Speaker. Because that's where they belong. That's where they belong, Madam Speaker. Because when I look at this bill, Madam Speaker, and I love the title of the bill, the Rapid Response Social Recovery Bill. Very interesting headline. It just shows, Madam Speaker, that as a government, as a Labour Party government, we understand the plight that the ordinary Dominican citizen goes through on a daily basis. But the senator from Castle Bruce, wait. The senator, Madam Speaker, he has his medical insurance. So he comes here and says, why should we assist the people? He has his house. So he comes here and says, why should we give people housing assistance? And he's clearly out of touch, Madam Speaker, with the realities on the ground. And it goes to show, Madam Speaker, that for you to stand here in Parliament, being someone who has to speak on behalf of the people out there, it shows that you are out of touch, Senator Isaac Baptist. You are out of touch, one, with the realities, and you're out of touch with the people out there. Because a bill like this, Madam Speaker, which touches the fabric of our citizens, is something that each and every parliamentarian should give their full support, Madam Speaker. But, Madam Speaker, we are here this evening as a government to pass this legislation because all of us here on the government side, Madam Speaker, we understand the plight of the ordinary Dominican citizen. We represent people. And people elect governments to solve their problems. That's what people elect governments for, to solve their problems, to ensure that at the end of the day, their lives can be improved. And as a government, you will always find people and citizens who will fall beneath the cracks. And there has to be a safety net and a mechanism, a structure in place that can assist these people, Madam Speaker. And that is what this bill is seeking to do. Because while it is true that we have a system in place that assists people, what this rapid response is doing is to ensure that our people, our citizens, can get that assistance in a quicker and a more efficient period of time. And that is important, to get the assistance in a quicker period of time. Because, Mr. Speaker, as a member of Parliament, and as parliamentary representatives on the government side, all of us, from time to time, we traverse our constituencies. We meet our people. We sit in our constituency offices. We listen to our people, Mr. Speaker. They come to us because that is what they've elected us for, to assist them, to help them. And Mr. Speaker, the senator, in his deliberation, he failed to establish the fact that there is a procedure that the individuals would have to go through to receive that assistance. So clearly, what he was trying to impute is that the politicians would be the ones just signing up on things. But there is still a procedure. And within the office of the Prime Minister, there are forms for public assistance, and I have one right here. Here's another one. And the individuals would still be required to fill in these forms. They would still be required to get the necessary documentation to attach to these forms. And they would still be required to write, to request that assistance, Mr. Speaker. But clearly, the senator, because of his ignorance on the matter, was unable to draw that to the attention of the Parliament this evening. And what I am very pleased about, Mr. Speaker, is that once the individuals have brought in all the documentation and the board of directors review these applications and make their recommendations, within the same day, or within 24 to 48 hours, that assistance will be given to the individuals, Mr. Speaker. And that is commendable. Because as a member of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, people come to me on a daily basis requesting assistance. And I have a responsibility to ensure that the needs of my constituents are met. But you see, this is a lazy opposition. They do not like to do work. They do not like to listen to people. And that is why none of them, the elected ones who have constituency offices, will sit in their constituency offices and listen to their constituents and take notes of what their constituents' needs are and try to solve the problems. That is why, Mr. Speaker, their offices are closed. But I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, when I sit in my constituency office seeing people, I ensure that I have the forms at my office, and I can assist the people in filling in these forms for this rapid assistance that they require. Assist them in filling the forms, ensuring that they have the proper letters, ensuring that they get the documentation, and then I work these forms myself. I work these forms myself to ensure that in as quick time as possible, my constituents can get the assistance that they require, Mr. Speaker. And that is what representation is about. People elect you because they see that you are able to solve their problems, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I really want to thank the staff in the office of the Prime Minister, who over the years have worked tremendously in ensuring, Mr. Speaker, that the efficiency of this program, they call it the Red Clinic. That's what they call it. But this program has been able to touch the lives of hundreds of thousands of Dominicans, Mr. Speaker. And I refer also, Mr. Speaker, to the first schedule. And the senator, again, being out of touch with people and the realities, he highlighted that there were only 2 areas that he believed that would deserve rapid response. But again, the senator is out of touch with the realities, Mr. Speaker. He's out of touch with what is happening on the ground. Because, Mr. Speaker, the areas outlined there for housing repairs, for health, education, poverty alleviation, access to water and sanitation, micro-businesses, recovery from natural disasters. These are some of the key areas that the agency will be focusing on to assist people. And Mr. Speaker, we have in this country a number of single mothers who are sometimes renting. Some of them face eviction. And while this government continues to provide housing, you will understand, Mr. Speaker, that all of the housing that we will provide will not happen at the same time. So there are some people who will have to rent. And if you have a single mother with 3 children, 4 children, and who is about to be evicted, she would qualify, Mr. Speaker, under this program to receive the assistance because of a situation. And she would be able to receive that assistance within a 48-hour period. And that is something that I will stand for and I will support, Mr. Speaker. Because not everybody is fortunate. Not everybody is on the same status quo, Mr. Speaker. Or not everybody has the same economic status. And that is what the government is providing, Mr. Speaker. A safety net to address these concerns. And I see Senator Felix Thomas on the other side. He's smiling and shaking his head and saying, yes, I support this. And that is what, Mr. Speaker, the Labour Party government is about. And I am very pleased that the Honourable Prime Minister has brought this bill before the Parliament to ensure that there is proper legislation to guide it. And to ensure that at the end of the day, when a decision is taken, when this is passed, it will continue to impact significantly on the lives of the ordinary Dominican citizens, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, sometimes we tend to forget certain things. That's right. Sometimes we can forget where we came from when we get certain positions and when we achieve certain things. And we forget those who are not so fortunate. And the Senator from St. Joseph is watching me because she is agreeing with me. We have to remember these things, Mr. Speaker. Because you see, at the end of the day, life is a cycle. And why should we not support legislation that is seeking to provide assistance for the less fortunate ones among us? We say we are a God-fearing nation. But what really are our values and our principles? What really do we stand for? And Mr. Speaker, let me just say in closing, because I believe this legislation is very important and we should get it passed as quickly as possible to start helping the people out there. As quickly as possible, Mr. Speaker. Because at the end of the day, when the Parliament approves the funding for this particular agency, I am hoping that the Minister of Finance, and I know he has a very good heart, will make a sizable amount available that will get this program off the ground. Because we have people out there that we have to help. We have people out there, Mr. Speaker, who needs the assistance. And that is what the Labour Party government is about, Mr. Speaker. And I have absolutely no reservations in fully supporting this bill before the Parliament, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Mona, as a minister, sit down. You have to yield to the minister, Mona. Yes, sorry. Boy, why no.
Thank you, Minister, Honorable Minister of Health, for yielding. Mr. Speaker, I rise to make my contribution to the bill before the House. Rapid Response Social Recovery Act, Red Clinic, Public Support Program. It is what it is. And in practicality, I support it. In practicality, I support it. Because the Dominican population has nothing else to fall back on. And so, Mr. Speaker, tonight, because this is all that is there to be offered to Dominica, because the eyes has it, I will support this bill. But, Mr. Speaker, in principle, Mr. Speaker, I object to this bill. In practicality, it has to be done. But in principle, I do not support this bill. Because this Rapid Response Social Recovery Agency, the Red Clinic, the Public Support Program, illuminates all of the issues that exist in Dominica. This program, Mr. Speaker, is the baby of the Dominica Labour Party. This program that they constantly speak of, this Rapid Response Recovery Act, Mr. Speaker, is the reason why Dominica is in the predicament that it is in. Mr. Speaker, I would have loved if the government of this country would present to the people of Dominica a real rapid response to their situations. And that would be the people of Dominica independently being able to secure themselves, their future, their children's future, their house renovations and repairs, their health. And we understand, Mr. Speaker, that many will fall through the cracks. We understand the need for rapid response. We understand that there are persons who will need the assistance of government. It is our moral responsibility. But Mr. Speaker, the public support program, which has now been brought to Parliament as an act, has used up so much of the public's purse. The reason being is that this government has been incapable of putting sustainable and resilient plans and policies to the people of Dominica to take them from their period and their areas and their circumstances of need into an area where they can fend for themselves. This dependency syndrome has to go. It has to be stopped, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am not in this house for 18 years, and maybe the fancy rhetorics will come from the other side, but this is not politics. This is someone who gets to leave the everyday circumstances. This is someone who gets to see what the situation is on the ground. And the situation on the ground is grim. And we sit here and we laugh and we play politics. And hundreds of thousands of persons have moved from places of independence to a place of dependency. And now this rapid response agency recovery, or whatever it is, this act is brought before Parliament so that the ministers of this government can be responsible for taking care of the needs of the people that they put in need. The needs of the people are directly a result of the incompetence of the Dominica Labour Party. If this Dominica Labour Party has been a working government 18 years later, this Rapid Recovery Response Act would not be brought to Parliament. It would have been brought 5 years after you took office. And I will take the first schedule, what the agency considers requests for support or relief relating to the following areas. I will take them into consideration, and I will go through them one by one. Because, Madam Speaker, house repairs and drainage improvement is not an emergency. It should not be an emergency. And if we're talking about recovery from natural disaster, that's a different story, and this is listed in the first schedule. This is listed in recovery from natural disaster. We understood that Maria took a lot from the Dominican people, and we understand the government need to respond immediately post a natural disaster. But what I do not understand is that this government has to be responsible for every house repair on this island. And the Minister of Health is making a fundamental point. The point is if you cannot, there are too many I cannots in this country. There are too many people who cannot meet their health needs. There are too many people who cannot repair their own homes. No, we don't. That is why. If you listen to my opening statement, in practicality, I will support this bill. But in principle, what I hope is that this government can take up this mantle, the leadership. Well, apparently not. This government is incapable of putting the plans and policies in place that will develop a sustainable and resilient Dominica. And we talk about climate resilience. For you to have a climate resilient country, for you to have a resilient country, you need to have a resilient people. You need to develop your human resource before you develop any other resource. You need to ensure that the NEP workers are put into sustainable jobs. And that is what we need to respond to rapidly. We need to respond to this new national hospital. 18 years later, we still spend hundreds of thousands of dollars sending our people overseas. Where is the national health policy? Where is the insurance for our people? That they need not come to government to rapidly respond to their health needs. This is what we need. We need a government, but I know, because it has been 18 years. I'm no longer a child. I was a child when the Labour Party formed government. But 18 years later, you have not been able to take the Dominican population from a place of need into a better Dominica. You are incapable. It is never going to happen. And those of us who are listening, you know, those who are listening will sit here, and those ministers who have sat here for 18 years will be able to come here and spew this fancy language, and you would wish that you can actually believe them, but your reality is your reality. Your reality is that you are going, many people of the St. Joseph constituency are going to have to take advantage of the rapid response. Many people across Dominica is going to have to take advantage of it. And you know why? Because the situation does not permit them to do for themselves. Job creation, sustainable job creation. Are you even capable of doing that? Agriculture, get agriculture off its feet. Not its feet, it's not even on its feet. Off its laurel, according to the PAL rep for the St. Joseph constituency. Madam Speaker, education, rapid response to education. Education follows a basic stage. You know, preschool, primary, high school, secondary education, tertiary education, college, and university. This is a basic step. Are we serious about including education in this rapid response? Or are we going to develop a national education policy where if, for example, an individual has set, you know, a set amount of their salaries do not exceed a set amount, that you would assist that individual? You have to have clear policies to govern your decisions. And of course, you know, all the intelligence, all the brilliance and all of the intelligence lies on the government side. Of course, all of the intelligence and all of the brilliance lies on the government side. But the people who are listening they know for themselves how many of you can actually, through you, Madam Speaker, take care of the tertiary needs of your children. How many of you can take care of your health on your own? Access to water and sanitation. Micro businesses. The small business unit is capable of taking care of micro business, of the micro business area on this bill. Recovery from natural disaster, absolutely. I would support that recovery, rapid response, social recovery, taking care of the immediate needs of persons post a disaster. Because disasters happen. They're unforeseen. They will come. And I understand that. Health again. I cannot run away from the health. A new national hospital that should have been in play many years ago. That should have prevented us from spending so much money. The money that are being spent to have our populace take advantage of the health off island could have been used to develop this new hospital. Our primary healthcare system is lacking. Our secondary healthcare system is lacking. Our nurses are running from our shores, and the Honorable Minister would want the nurses, like you say, history will record them as living in their time of need. No. History will record that the Dominican Labour Party caused many nurses to leave. That is what history will record. That under the period of the Dominica Labour Party post the disaster, many nurses left. Rapid response. Poverty alleviation. There is no rapid response to poverty alleviation. there is a progressive alleviation to poverty. Are the policies in place for this? 18 years later, the people of Dominica, ask yourself the question: have you been able to move from your position of poverty into a better position? How many hundreds of thousands of Dominicans are going to take advantage of this? I urge you to. Tens of thousands. I urge you to. Take advantage. It is what is presented to you. It is the eyes who has it for now. The time will come when the eyes will no longer have it. Madam Speaker. The eyes on that side. But the ears, absolutely, the ears, those who listen and understand your plight. Those who listen and are serious about the business of moving Dominica to a better place will take up the mantle. Madam Speaker, again, this Rapid Response Social Recovery Agency, in practicality, is a bill that I will support. But in principle, the day dawns when the Dominican people will be taken to a better place, a progressive place, a resilient place, a sustainable place. And I will live to see that day. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I too rise to make my contribution to this bill before the House, and I'm very happy, Madam Speaker, in your absence, although I unwillingly yielded to Senator Mona, but I'm happy that I was convinced by my side to yield to her, to put some of the untruths, Madam Speaker, that she spoke about to rest, Madam Speaker, to bury them. Madam Speaker, it would be remiss of me as the Minister of Health if I didn't rise, Madam Speaker, to lend my support to this bill, because I'm sure you would appreciate, and members of this honorable House who would have been here for many years will appreciate, Madam Speaker, that the vast bulk, a vast portion, Madam Speaker, of these resources, Madam Speaker, are spent towards dealing with health and other medical-related emergencies and expenditures. Madam Speaker, and I must say, this in no way, Madam Speaker, speaks badly to our current health system, Madam Speaker, because there will always be a region, Madam Speaker, a country, a state, a province, an institution, Madam Speaker, with facilities, technologies that is not available, Madam Speaker, in the order. Even within the great United States, Madam Speaker, there are states that people travel between states, Madam Speaker, because the technology or the expertise required, Madam Speaker, by that particular individual is not or will not be available, Madam Speaker, in that particular state, so they'd have to move from one state to another or from one institution to another. Madam Speaker, I'm listening to the Senator Monell Williams, Madam Speaker. I mean, clearly, Madam Speaker, she's again portraying, Madam Speaker, the epitome of what I said in my first presentation. The opposition, Madam Speaker, look, that's all they do, Madam Speaker. They iron their clothes maybe for immediately after the last parliament and wait for the next parliament. And they come ill-prepared, Madam Speaker, ill-prepared. And I want to ask her to keep her cool, because when she loses her cool, she loses the accent, the young Madam Speaker. So keep your cool, you know, when you're making a presentation, so you can be uniform like me. I've been told I sung a little on the whatever side, but at least it's uniform. Madam Speaker, where was Senator Williams an hour, 2 hours ago, Madam Speaker, where we just passed the bill, Madam Speaker. Let me see, it's a very long one. Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation Agreement, Madam Speaker. A system to put in place, Madam, yeah, it's necessary, Madam Speaker, to put in place, Madam Speaker, to assist small, micro, Madam Speaker, small and medium-sized businesses, Madam Speaker. She says that we have that this is the only thing that the government side has presented, Madam Speaker, at the sitting of this Parliament. Where was she, Madam Speaker, 2 hours ago? And even, Madam Speaker, the Senator, Madam Speaker, was just all over the place. She's talking about sanitation, Madam Speaker, and water. The Honorable Minister, well, current Minister of Agriculture, former Minister of Water, former Minister of Dawasco, Madam Speaker, Honorable Reginald Austri, and member for the Cottage constituency. Madam Speaker, you would have heard our figures, Madam Speaker, pre-Erica and also pre-Maria. The late 90s corporate, Madam Speaker. Dominica is probably the leading country in the world as it pertains to potable water, Madam Speaker. Yeah. Sustainable because they like the fancy thing, Madam Speaker. We on the government side, we are humble people. You know, we talk about toilets and washrooms, like some people say, Madam Speaker. But they like the fancy terms. The leader of the opposition and his gang, and his colleagues, Madam Speaker, they love the fancy terms. We can go back to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, Madam Speaker, SDG 6, water and sanitation, Madam Speaker. And prior to Erica and Maria, Madam Speaker, Dominica, we were fast approaching achieving this Sustainable Development Goal. Sanitation, Madam Speaker, and just a few months after we launched this sanitation program, Madam Speaker, which they call the washroom or whatever, it made quite an impact on them because I think one of their own even made a calypso. Scary would give them toilet. In fact, I love that song, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, just a few months after launching this program, the United Nations, Madam Speaker, themselves, Madam Speaker, they launched this worldwide war, Madam Speaker, against, Madam Speaker, spit latrines. So we will advance, Madam Speaker. And again, I heard I like to refer to him as my brother-in-law, the senator. I will use parliamentary language. I'm Senator Baptist, although I haven't seen him at family events in quite a while. Madam Speaker, since after the last incident in Parliament, I see he's been avoiding coming close to me. But I want to let you know the course is clear. I'm okay. You can come back to attending family events, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, and I heard he lambasted, Madam Speaker, the washroom, and he was even ridiculing the fact that, Madam Speaker, these concrete annexes or structures that we built, that they possibly, Madam Speaker, they could have possibly saved lives during Maria. How can you laugh at something like that, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, I can speak to people in my constituency. I know a number of people, Madam Speaker. You know, of course, Hurricane Maria caught us a little with our pants on, Madam Speaker. And then while some people had time to move to safer shelters, Madam Speaker, a lot of those senior citizens and other people remained home, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is where they weathered the storm, Madam Speaker, in this concrete index. You could call it whatever you want, washroom, toilet, whatever the case may be. This is the, Madam Speaker, and the fact remains that a lot of our senior citizens, Madam Speaker, their lives might have been saved because of these concrete structures. How can you laugh at something like that? Is beyond me. So, Madam Speaker, I've always been a strong advocate for these social programs. Again, I've said many times before at many different forums, Madam Speaker, that I think it's my love for people, Madam Speaker, which is where I am today. I started as a district medical officer, and I'm pretty sure it's my dedication, Madam Speaker, and love for humankind and love for the more vulnerable, the less fortunate, that drew me to the attention, Madam Speaker, of all concerned. The clientele that I serve, Madam Speaker, and I'm sure the political parties, including themselves, who were wooing me once upon a time. And I've always been a strong advocate, Madam Speaker, for these social programs. First of all, as a citizen, Madam Speaker, I'm very happy for, first of all, the public support program within the Office of the Prime Minister. I've said it many times before. I would have had friends, constituents, Madam Speaker, even family, close family relatives, Madam Speaker, who did not have the means, Madam Speaker, to seek the assistance that they did. Madam Speaker, and no one, Madam Speaker, they will not know what this means unless they find themselves in that situation, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, and the Prime Minister, I think, alluded to this yesterday, that sometimes you might feel that we might have a healthy bank account. Madam Speaker, but I'm a medical doctor, and I can tell you, this thing gets thin and big, Madam Speaker, within the space of a few months. So you could have hundreds of thousands of dollars, Madam Speaker, depending on the illness, Madam Speaker, God forbid. This can disappear within the space of a few months or a few weeks, Madam Speaker. So we should not sit on our laurels, Madam Speaker, and decide we have a medical insurance or health insurance, or we have a sizable bank account, Madam Speaker. Strong advocate, Madam Speaker, because as I said earlier, I'm a doctor myself, and I can appreciate, Madam Speaker, the rising cost of healthcare, Madam Speaker. And while a lot of our services here in Dominica through the public health system is free, or are free rather, Madam Speaker, there are still services that one would have to pay for. And I could spend the rest of the night, Madam Speaker, as I said, this in no way means that the health system in Dominica, Madam Speaker, is in shambles like the Senator and all of their tribe, Madam Speaker, on social media and other places. Speak of, Madam Speaker. I could spend the whole night speaking of advances we've made in the last 10 to 15 years, Madam Speaker, in health. Serious advances. And this is just, Madam Speaker, the tip of the iceberg. We have a wealth of plan, Madam Speaker, contrary to what is being said out there by their so-called experts or health advisors, whatever. As we speak, Madam Speaker, we have over a dozen of our own locals being trained in various specialties around the world, Madam Speaker, to return, Madam Speaker, to serve in this new national hospital, offering specialties and services, Madam Speaker, that were never available before in Dominica. So yes, Madam Speaker, we do have a long way to go, I must admit. We do have a long way to go. But I refuse, Madam Speaker, as the Minister of Health, to sit and allow people like Senator Williams and others on social media, some of them who haven't returned to Dominica in decades, to speak ill. And she spoke about the nurses, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the issue of nursing migration or mass migration is not a new one, Madam Speaker. And while I said this is not an excuse, I'm not trying to make any excuse because we are dealing with the issue of the nursing attrition. But Senator Williams and the others shouldn't make it look like it's the first time that nurses are migrating. People migrate, nurses migrate, doctors, policemen, farmers, apple pickers, Madam Speaker, janitors, whatever, they migrate all the time, Madam Speaker, for the quote-unquote greener pastures. Do your research, my dear. A lot of them are returning because they found out that the so-called greener pastures, okay, were not so green as they thought originally. So we have been making an attempt, Madam Speaker, and again, this is the hallmark, Madam Speaker, of the opposition and their followers, their crowd, Madam Speaker. They do not do any research. I've been following the whole issue of the nursing nutrition discussion on social media and other form of media. And I recall somebody at a call saying that, we just imported Cuban nurses and then we didn't make any attempt to meet them halfway, Madam Speaker. Yes, there's this beautiful picture of me going around, Madam Speaker, on Facebook, dressed as a nurse, but that's just a little side. I'll send it to you, Madam Speaker. You saw it, right? I see you laughing. You saw it. Okay. I make quite a pretty nurse, I think, right? Okay, good, yeah. But, Madam Speaker, we have made, Madam Speaker, even before the intervention of the so-called savior of the nursing or the self-acclaimed savior of the nurses, who finds, Madam Speaker, in her own or his or her own wisdom, Madam Speaker, that this is the opportune time, Madam Speaker, just a few months after a major disaster, Category 12 hurricane, Madam Speaker, find that this is the opportune time now to start making noise for more money, Madam Speaker, to put it in local parlance, Madam Speaker. When, Madam Speaker, there are ongoing discussion between the Public Service Union, who is the legally, Madam Speaker, recognized entity to deal with salary negotiations as it pertains to nurses. And this is why I warn them that they need to be very careful, okay, as to the level of engagement, Madam Speaker, with the Dominican Nurses Association. Nothing wrong in being part of a professional association, Madam Speaker. But Senator Williams, okay, you need to inform yourself, you and your crop, that we would have met with the nursing body long before all of these things started, because they would have asked to meet with myself as a minister and the former permanent secretary. And we have a list, Madam Speaker, of the number of things, Madam Speaker, that they've been seeking approval for that we granted, to include 100% increase in allowances, Madam Speaker, uniform allowances, transportation, a whole host of things, Madam Speaker, that they would have been advocating for, that we at the Cabinet approved, Madam Speaker, a few weeks ago, and will be implemented as soon as the decision gets back from Cabinet to the respective Ministry of Health, Madam Speaker. So this thing about not meeting people halfway and this issue about work-related bullying and all of these things, Madam Speaker, I think are concussions of the imaginations. And then we have, I said, to beg the question as to the motive of this individual or individuals. And Madam Speaker, ironically, that particular individual, Madam Speaker, she resigned her post, Madam Speaker. She was in a position, Madam Speaker, where she could influence both the training, quality, and quantum of training of nurses to replace those who decide voluntarily they want to be, Madam Speaker. She resigned, okay, and right now I think that the best thing she can do over time is to try to rile up the nurses. But we have it under control, Madam Speaker, and we want to thank the government and people of the Republic of Cuba, Madam Speaker, for, on request, sending the 20 nurses, Madam Speaker, to try to alleviate this serious problem that we have in Dominica. Because they've been saying that one of the main problems is the high nursing patient-to-nurses ratio. So while we know and we've accepted that this is not going to heal the problem, it will at least stop the hemorrhaging while we seek medium and longer-term solutions, Madam Speaker. So, Senator Williams, as I said, please make sure that you do your research properly before you come to the House and embarrass yourself. And I'm not going to spend the rest of my night speaking about all the other advances, Madam Speaker, we have. I can speak to the National Hospital, $40 million investment. Of course, Hurricane Maria would have put this on a pause, Madam Speaker, while we review some of the plans, some of the designs that we think might need revision, Madam Speaker. The Marigot Hospital, the Member of Parliament for Marigot had not spoken, Madam Speaker. Demolition of the old hospital has begun. The project has essentially started, Madam Speaker. But we will not hear him talking about that in his honorable House. Madam Speaker, last year's budget, I want to again thank the Minister of Finance, Madam Speaker, for increasing the annual budget of the Ministry of Health as it pertains to pharmaceutical procurement, Madam Speaker, by $5 million. And it wasn't just a one-time shot, Madam Speaker, an annual increase of $5 million that have now enabled us, Madam Speaker, to, for the first time in probably in Dominica's history, to have a zero balance at the OECS pool procurement services, Madam Speaker. And has also allowed us, Madam Speaker, to now be able to offer to cancer patients the oncology drugs, Madam Speaker, that are very expensive, free of charge, and also the ophthalmologic job, Madam Speaker, that is so common, Madam Speaker, to treat glaucoma in our senior citizens, Madam Speaker. So when we had the opposition, Madam Speaker, come in and talk about like the health care is in shambles and all of it, Madam Speaker, they need to go and do their research. But, Madam Speaker, as I said, in spite of all of this, Madam Speaker, there will be a need for people to move on to another region, another facility, and in our case, another state. Madam Speaker, because we are a small island developing state, Madam Speaker. And even we've been among first world countries, Madam Speaker, you will find people moving between France to go to America, or vice versa, because the technology, as I said, and expertise might not be available, or they might say they fancy the chances going to France because they hear France are better neurologists. Just saying, Madam Speaker. So it will be remiss of me, Madam Speaker, as I said, because I'm pretty sure that, as I said, a grand portion, Madam Speaker, of this resources, Madam Speaker, is going to be used towards addressing some of the medical health emergencies. And I want to tell I think the leader of the opposition, I think the member for Marigot, that sometime during the former debate, where he mentioned that the government was using that some of the resources will be spent only in government health constituencies, Madam Speaker. If you go to Section 3, the supplementary appropriation, if you go to Section 3 and Section 5, Madam Speaker, of this, it will put your fears to rest.
The member, you cannot go back to what was done already.
Sorry, Madam. Okay, Madam. Should I withdraw? Madam Speaker, that we are not going to make any preference, Madam Speaker, to any geographical area, Madam Speaker. So as Minister, Madam Speaker, I have no choice, Madam Speaker, but to support this, Madam Speaker, because as I said, I know that my constituents, friends, family, and the Dominican citizens are going to benefit from this agency, Madam Speaker. I thank you very much. Yep. Huh? About what?
I saw him first, so you'll be next.
Huh?
Madam Speaker,
about what?
I rise to give my unwavering support to the act before the House, the establishment of a rapid response social recovery agency for Dominica, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, please allow me to just spend a minute on some of the areas that we are familiar with within our neighborhood and in the international community, where agencies formed by the state are taking care of their people, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in the United States, the world's largest economy, Madam Speaker, there are agencies where citizens can just walk in and register for unemployment benefit, Madam Speaker. Additionally, Madam Speaker, there is a food stamp structure in the American setting that has been there for years. And although with all of the employment, there are always going to be a category of people who will meet the class, who will need from time to time benefit from the estate, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in France, we all know it. Just in Guadeloupe, depending on the number of children you have, the state makes funds available to them to assist the family, Madam Speaker. In Italy, in England, all of these countries, Madam Speaker, have their own social structure which responds to the needs of the people at any given time, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the reason why we are establishing this rapid response agency is because we have brought the economy to a state where we can now propagate and provide funds to meet the needs of our less fortunate. This is where we have brought the economy. We can now come to this parliament and appropriate funds specific to meet the needs of the less fortunate. This is where we are today, Madam Speaker. And so, Madam Speaker, we are not ashamed of this program, and we will never be ashamed of this program, Madam Speaker. The senator, my friend, my constituent, whom I happen to be his par rep, came here and he read a litany of areas where rapid response is needed. But, Madam Speaker, please allow me, because this is not the first rapid response, important response program this government has implemented. I have been here for some 6 to 7 years, and there are several programs. I recall quite vividly when this government, our Prime Minister, went to the European Investment Bank, secured funds for on-lending to give a boost to the tourism sector. And the senator from Casabros was one of the main beneficiaries of it. He got $4 million to establish a facility and it suited him that time. So he was able to come and take advantage of a rapid response program in tourism and got $4 million to establish a facility which has not created, 4 or 5 years later, he has not created not one sustainable job out of that facility. And I heard him recently in the same house saying, if the bank one day can come and take your facility now. That's his response to the benefit he got from a facility created by this government in this house to assist him to create employment, Madam Speaker. And today you are saying to me that the less fortunate who has health problem, the less fortunate who have home problem, the less fortunate who has unemployment problem, this government is out of place to create a facility for them. Thank God he did not win the election, Madam Speaker. I am the one responsible for the people of Casabros, and I will ensure that they take advantage of this facility after it is established. And that's why they voted for me and not him, Madam Speaker. And so, Madam Speaker, the facility, yes, the Ministry of Housing, I'm going to help you fix your house. That's right. Rest assured, you can come to me and you'll get support, my friend. I'll support you. That's the Ministry in the Ministry of Housing. Come to me when you're ready and I'll support you, my friend. Having said that, Madam Speaker, let's go to matters of importance. On the part one, Madam Speaker, the agency is a body to which social programs will be implemented, Madam Speaker. The agency shall, and I need to get some more light here, receive and process application for urgent, that's the operative word here, Madam Speaker, urgent public support and relief from individuals. Now, not only individuals, non-governmental agencies, community groups, and local government organizations in the areas specified, Madam Speaker. So not only individuals will be able to benefit from the Rapid Response Agency, Madam Speaker. Important groups in communities who are about to undertake projects for the advancement of their community can go to that agency when it is established and can receive funds to implement important projects in the community, Madam Speaker. And you are coming here and say to us that this is whatever name you want to give it? Madam Speaker, I sometimes wonder, why is it that the entire opposition seems to get so angry whenever poor people are going to benefit from this country, Madam Speaker? For some reason, it gets them angry. They are always finding ways of criticizing whatever benefit poor people are going to be getting, Madam Speaker. No, I don't understand that. They criticize the program to assist students with education, paying of college fees for students. They criticize it. Everything they think it is vote catching. Madam Speaker, are you aware? We or you may not be aware, and nobody else is aware, that during the 2014 campaign, this senator from Castle Bruce was sending rice to everybody home because that's what he had. Is he saying to me that it was a way of catching votes? Yes, you did that. 2 pounds and 3 pounds of rice. You were sending to all your supporters home. You did that, Mr. Senator. That was your way of assisting your people. The government is assisting its people in the best way possible, Madam Speaker. And so, Madam Speaker, I want to move quickly to the schedule, Madam Speaker. The agency may consider requests for support or relief relating to the following: housing repair and drainage improvement. Madam Speaker, rapid response for housing repair. And it could come in any ways, Madam, shape or form. Madam Speaker, we had a fire recently in Silver Lake. And I heard the disaster people today discussing where they would want to have some funds of their own so that when they have to respond to disasters, they will have funds to respond to it today. And if the government is putting a facility where the next morning the victims can walk into an agency and within a day they can be supported, Madam Speaker, we're not going to support that. We're not going to support that. This is what this is all about, Madam Speaker. Health. And we don't even want to go into health. We could spend the whole night talking about rapid response for health care. And Madam Speaker, I'm not even talking here about medical overseas, you know. I'm talking about walking into the pharmacist, Madam Speaker. I'm talking about somebody who walks out of the doctor's office having paid $100 to visit the doctor, and the medication is going to cost $250, and they have to take the first tablet tonight. Do you know how many people come to us as PAL reps asking us for money to assist them to walk into the pharmacies to purchase medication, Madam Speaker? What better can we do than to establish a facility where these people know they can pick up this prescription from their doctor, and tomorrow morning they can go to the government facility and they can walk out with $250, lash on chest, dry money, my dear, in their hands to get the medication. Rapid, urgent, rapid response, Madam Speaker. But, Madam Speaker, I'm heartened by the fact that even though the opposition criticizes these programs, they themselves take advantage of it after it is established, Madam Speaker, both for themselves, their family, and their friends. So there's no problem in that. We know it will come to pass, and you will be taking advantage of it eventually, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we're talking about poverty alleviation. The individual may just come up with an idea where they can help themselves get out of poverty. There's an agency now that they can go to, and they have their creative ideas in their mind, and they can say to the government, this is my idea, this is where I am, I believe if I do that, it will help me improve my income, and they will get the support for that, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we continue, Madam Speaker. Micro and small business, Madam Speaker. Goes back to the point I was just making. The young persons have an idea, they're thinking of something that is practical, that can be successful. They now have an agency that they can walk into, and within this, they can have some funds to boost them. It may just be an opportunity that comes up where they can make some money. Madam Speaker, it could be the persons who have to buy the TTV to resell to, you know. They just want to run to Layu because TTV is up there now, and they need a couple $100,000 to buy some TTV to go back on the street and sell it. There's an agency that can support them today, Madam Speaker. This is what this program is all about. And so, Madam Speaker, it's going to be a long night. I just want to say to the people of the Castle Bruce constituency, first of all, that we are I'm happy that there's another facility that we can take advantage of to assist our people. I want to say to the Dominican community who has given us the opportunity to serve and to create opportunities and facilities for them. This is what we're doing here at this house at this moment at 9:20. That's what we're doing right now at this time. We are here doing the work that they sent us to do, and we are ready to establish the facility. I want to thank the Honorable Prime Minister for agreeing to create this agency, and I know he will appropriate adequate funds for the success of this facility, and I want you to know that all of us are fully behind him, and we look forward to another opportunity where we will continue with the upward mobility we are seeing in this country by this Labour Party government. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I support the bill.
Madam Speaker, I rise to give my support to the Rapid Response Agency, which I believe is vital to deal with unsuspecting, unplanned social economic issues that may arise. Madam Speaker, I am really saddened by the deception in this House. Madam Speaker, I heard from Minister Isaac that the platform of the opposition is transparency and integrity. So, Madam Speaker, at first, they had a problem with the Red Clinic. They said it was in the Prime Minister's office. So, Madam Speaker, now that the Rapid Response Agency, just like the Aid Bank, is now being set up like a statutory body to operate with a board, and just like the Aid Bank, which is under the portfolio of the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Finance appoints the directors of the board. The Minister of Finance appoints the shareholders, which the government appoints the auditors of the board. So there is a transparent process. You have reports, you have financial reports on the Rapid Response Agency. And to come here now and say, the Senator Baptiste, to say that it is not transparent and that it is all still under the Minister of Finance, Madam Speaker, is deceptive, because here you now have an agency which is a statutory body standing on its own, which can be audited and have committees that will make decisions at any time. So we must stop this deception in the House, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, 2 years ago, in December 2016, as Minister Drago referred to the fire in Silver Lake, 20 people lost their home in one night. It was because of the public support program at the time that the government could immediately respond and provide compassionate allowance to those 20 families. What should we have done? Leave them in despair? Say we cannot help you? We have to wait until social services is able to respond to the situation? We could have given the compassionate response immediately, Madam Speaker. Working in tandem, the social services who the next day could provide housing and apartments for these victims, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, when we come to this House and say we care about people, we must not discuss matters that touch lives so callously. It's disheartening to listen when I listen to the Senator Baptiste said that we don't need rapid response when we have people that have unsuspectingly, while sleeping, their homes consumed by fire. When he says we don't need rapid response, when somebody falls sick, somebody finds out that they have stage 4 cancer and need to be flown out immediately from Dominica, that the government should say, well, too bad for you and your family if you don't have insurance. How can we say we represent people and care about people. And an agency designed to deal with matters urgently, we can come in this house and say we don't support it. These double standards must stop, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it's the same opposition that comes here and say that because the public support is in the Prime Minister's office, that their supporters have no access to it. Now that there will be a statutory body that even they can walk in and put in an application. Or they can direct their supporters too. If they have an urgent situation, they are not in support of it. So what do they really want, Madam Speaker? Do A is a problem. Make it more transparent, make it more accountable is a problem. So what are they really saying to Dominicans? That the government should not be in touch with the realities of its people and do nothing to help them in their greatest time of need? Is that what they want Dominicans to hear tonight? That when they fall in a situation of crisis and things are tough and rough, when a mother who is losing blood or has gave birth to a child who has sickle cells or has a serious disease that we cannot handle at the moment and needs to be flown out, we should tell that mother, let that child die. Is that really the message you want to send to Dominicans tonight when you say you do not support the Rapid Response Agency? I really don't want to believe that is why we're in this parliament. Because the reason we're in this parliament is to make policies and decisions for the betterment of our people. And so, Madam Speaker, this government is innovative. We're not saying these are long-term solutions. We are the ones who have the pilot insurance scheme ongoing for single parents with children 2 years and younger, that if they fall into a situation, they can get immediate care elsewhere. We started it because our intention is to have a national insurance scheme. So we are innovative. This is not lack of innovation, but you have to be real. And in real life, things happen. And you have to be, as a government, to be in a position to respond when things happen. And so we have to appreciate that when our government systems were established decades ago, it wasn't designed to deal with those matters, Madam Speaker. It is very bureaucratic. And so sometimes, because of all the bureaucracy in the government system, you cannot get things done in a timely manner or practical manner. And this Rapid Response Agency allows us to deal with things in real time, in needed time. So, Madam Speaker, it's very easy to come here and speak and discredit the government when you are not the one facing you are not the one facing the situation. Or you're not the one whose house was just burned down, or whose child is sick, or his family member, somebody had a major accident and need immediate operation. We must be careful how we speak in this house, Madam Speaker. This is a house for serious business. And the business of the people must not be handled in such a callous manner. Very disappointing. So, Madam Speaker, with these few words, I give my full support to the Rapid Response Agency, which has saved the lives of many people in my constituency. I remember meeting a bus driver who told me of his son who had a rare disease, and the doctors did not know how to treat that disease. And it is because of the government's ability under the public support to respond rapidly. His son is still alive today. So I want us to rethink, the other members who have not spoken, and think of what you're saying to people in their time of need, that you will not be there. But they can rest assured that as long as the Dominica Labour Party administration is in power, we will never turn a blind eye or blind ear to the problems of our people. We will have solutions in a timely fashion to address their every need. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I rise to give my full and unwavering support to the bill which is now before this Honorable House, Rapid Response Social Recovery Agency Act 2018. And as I do so, Madam Speaker, it is with a great sense of pride in this Labour Party government. And I dare say our founding fathers would also be proud. I am proud because, Madam Speaker, of all the values, principles, and ideologies that have led me to love and support the Dominica Labour Party. It is the ideology of socialist democracy that has really captured my heart about this party. And socialism is a political ideology in which the state acknowledges its deep responsibility to each citizen in ensuring the best quality of life possible. To make it simple and more clear, Madam Speaker, the motto of our party captures it best. All shall eat in a socialist democratic society. However, the same does not obtain within the capitalist mindset. And you notice the opposition party has a lot of businessmen, capitalists. So it's probably not a surprise. Whereas within the socialist mindset, all shall eat. Within the capitalist mindset, who can afford to eat shall eat, and those who cannot will starve. Who can afford health care will live, and those who cannot will die. Those with collateral or capital can invest in a business and give themselves a livelihood, and those who do not will remain in poverty. Madam Speaker, that is why I thank God every day. I thank God that for the past 18 years, this country has been blessed with the Dominica Labour Party government leading it forward in its path to development, Madam Speaker. And permit me to pause here just to dispel some misinformation that was stated in this House by Senator Williams, to give the impression that the introduction of this agency is as a result of any failure on the part of this government is irresponsible, to say the least, Madam Speaker. And I thank the Honorable Honorable Minister Drago rather, for pointing out that it is because of the fiscal prudence and the successes we have made in other areas that we are now in a position to allocate resources specifically and in a more focused manner for the treating with issues in respect to emergency situations in health, education, poverty alleviation, and other areas that the Rapid Response Agency will address, Madam Speaker. And beyond that, just to point out, in the past decade, poverty has reduced in Dominica by more than 10%. In the past decade, we have seen that every child leaving primary school has a space in secondary school. And now every student leaving the secondary school environment has a place in the state college. Madam Speaker, I say that to say that this Dominica Labour Party has had an unprecedented track record in governance. And I am proud of this Dominica Labour Party, Madam Speaker. And that's why I stand behind my party. And that's why I stand in support of the legislation before this Honorable House. Madam Speaker, the public support program has existed now for some time, and it continues to touch the lives of Dominicans throughout this country. The Roseau South is no exception, although this is not a seat that the Labour Party won in the last election. Madam Speaker, it touches the lives by helping out with situations where there are educational expenses that need to be met by the mother or father in the household, where there are emergency health situations, Madam Speaker. And the public support program has resulted in so many families being able to deal with the challenge that confronted them at a particular time. And the government has come under some great criticism from the opposition for this program, Madam Speaker. And during the last election cycle, the leader of opposition even stated and went on public record as to say that if he were to enter office, that he would do away with the public support program, Madam Speaker, and all of our social programs. Now, Madam Speaker, now that this government is seeking to push forward to evolve the process through which we offer social support to our citizens in need, the opposition is once again coming to this House and placing on record that they will not support it. Madam Speaker, this is grossly unfortunate. And it demonstrates to me, Madam Speaker, that every member on this side of the House is out of touch with reality. Madam Speaker, it seems to me they ascribe to the sweat of thy brow philosophy that has been pronounced by their leader. And it also seems to me that they ascribe to the absentee leadership philosophy, as is demonstrated by the parliamentary representative for the Roseau South, who absents himself from every sitting of this House. And I want to say to the people of the Roseau South that I don't need to be a PAL rep, caretaker, or anything to look after your interests. I will continue to do it in the interest of supporting this Labour Party government and our dynamic leader, Dr. Roosevelt Skerry. Mr. Speaker, Senator Baptist went on to say that, and actually placed on record that he doesn't support the program. And that is in stark contradiction to the statement and the actions of Minister Isaac. Because Minister Isaac demonstrated that he's a progressive thinker. And that's why he sits now on this side of the House. And he has come under harsh criticism from the opposition since making that decision. But I agree with him. I agree with him that it was a wise decision on his part to accept the invitation of the Prime Minister to serve the most dynamic and united cabinet in the Caribbean. And he, as he rightly said, history will absolve him. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for Senator Williams and Senator Baptist. By virtue of their decision to put on public record in this honorable House the fact that they do not support this legislation, Madam Speaker, they will be on the wrong side of history, Madam Speaker. And for Mr. Baptist to state that he is foreseeing or envisioning a future in which the honorable leader of the opposition will be the Prime Minister, it demonstrates to me that you, sir, are clearly living in a fool's paradise. And that will never be true. Because, Madam Speaker, by the grace of God and by the continued hard work of our Prime Minister and this government, this Labour Party administration will not be moved. Once we continue to provide the emergency assistance that is needed for our people, Madam Speaker, we will not be moved. As long as we continue to lift families out of poverty, Madam Speaker, we will not be moved. And as long as the Labour Party continues to hold true to its principles and values, socialist democratic values, Madam Speaker, looking out for every citizen and responding to their needs in a timely manner, and where necessary, introducing new programs to make sure that we can help them even more quickly, this Labour Party government, Madam Speaker, will never be moved. So I give my full support to this legislation and to the Prime Minister and his cabinet, encouraging them to continue the hard work that they have done on our behalf, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
You got that energy out there, bro. Madam Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Seconded.
It has been moved and seconded that this honorable House be adjourned until tomorrow morning, Thursday, the 3rd of May at 10 a.m. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. This honorable House stands adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.